Hello everyone. Last episode of Skill Forger, and everything changed. Ren discovered the truth. His mother was the original forger, she was murdered by the 8 pillars, and she left him a weapon they feared, the power to sever skills permanently. He built an army, Lena, Ginny, Mr. Kang. Even the Bureau's one-armed commander joined his side. Ren forged them all into weapons, but every forge cost him. His hair turned white, his face aged decades. He's 19, he looks 50. Then the Reaper came, a nullifier, who could kill any skill within 10 meters. Ren's severance backfired, and he nearly died, but he came back, found the weakness, and stripped the Reaper of his power forever. 1 pillar down, 7 to go. Now the remaining 7 pillars have united, a full convergence. They want the forger dead or under his control. Ren stood before his team, mask on, and said it plain. I'm going to kill them all or die trying. The war has only just begun. The black van pulled up outside Ren's apartment at midnight. 3 men in suits stepped out, Bureau enforcers, but not the kind who ask questions. Ren watched from his window, mask already in his hand. Ashen hissed at the door. Ren calculated his options. Front exit blocked, back alley was the only way. He grabbed his coat and moved. Ren slipped out the back fire escape, dropping into the alley, but the enforcers had anticipated that 2 of them waited in the shadows. They moved to grab him. Ren braced for a fight he could not win. Then a figure stepped between them. Small, hunched, wearing a beige cardigan, Grandma Hannah. Grandma Hannah moved faster than anyone expected. She caught the first enforcer's wrist and twisted, bone cracked. The second swung at her. She ducked, swept his legs, and drove her elbow into his jaw. 2 trained agents down in seconds. Ren stared. Hannah straightened her apron. "We need to talk," she said calmly. Lena sat in her academy dorm, staring at a map of the outer ring marked with forge locations. She had been tracking the patterns for weeks. The forges were becoming more frequent, more organized. She traced her finger along the map. Someone was building something. She grabbed her coat. She was going to find out who. Kale Dracos sat in his penthouse, reviewing a file on one of Ren's clients, a mid-tier merchant named Jung, who had received a forge 2 weeks ago. Kale smiled. Every forged client was a potential entry point. He sent an invitation. Jung arrived at Kale's office the next day, nervous and sweating. Ren and Ginny met in a cramped apartment that would become their new base of operations. Ginny had set up a secure communication system, burner phones, coded messages, dead drops. She had a list of potential clients pre-screened. Ren looked at the setup. It felt real for the first time. This was no longer a one-man operation. This was a network. In the back room of her store, Hannah made tea with steady hands. She told Ren about her past 30 years ago. She was known as the Burning Rose, an S-rank superhuman who fought in the Awakening Wars. She had retired to live a quiet life, but she still had connections, and she had been watching Ren. "I knew your mother," she said. "I've been waiting for you to come to me." Their first client under the new system was a firefighter named Park. His skill was heat resistance D rank, but it had been destabilizing, causing burns on his own skin. He was about to lose his job. Ren evaluated the risk. Low-rank forge, minimal cost. He touched Park's hand. The forge activated golden light. The skill stabilized and upgraded to Inferno Walker B rank. Park left in tears, thanking Ren profusely. Ren watched him go and checked his reflection in a window, a single new grey strand at his temple. 1 week of life. He touched it. Ginny watched from the doorway, her smirk absent for once. "You okay?" Ren forced a smile. Just another day at the office. Ginny didn't believe him, but she let it go. Kale offered Jung money, protection. The merchant refused, loyal to his anonymous benefactor. Kale's smile did not waver. He reached across the table and touched Jung's hand. "Debt bind activated. You owe me your loyalty now," Kale said softly. "Tell me everything about the forger." Jung's eyes glazed over. His resistance crumbled. Jung became Cale's eyes inside the Forge network. He reported meeting locations, client names, security routines. Cale compiled the information in a leather-bound journal, page by page. He did not strike yet. He was patient. He would wait until he had enough to take everything. Ren noticed something wrong. A client showed up late to a meet, sweating, answering questions evasively. Ginny flagged it too. "Something's off with Young," she said. Ren agreed, but they could not prove anything. He filed it away in his mind. Trust no one completely. The first rule of survival. Lena followed a lead to an abandoned textile factory, a known forge location. She moved silently through the dark corridors, ice crystals forming in her breath. She heard voices ahead. She crept closer. Through a gap in the door she saw a figure in a white mask standing over a kneeling client, golden light pulsing from his palm. Ren felt a presence before he saw her. His forge senses tingled. Someone with immense power was nearby. He finished the forge in seconds, grabbed his coat, and dove through a window. Lena burst through the door a moment later. The room was empty except for the dazed client. She ran to the window below. A figure in black disappeared into the alley shadows. Lena jumped down and searched the alley. Nothing, but on the ground she found a single black glove. She picked it up. It was still warm. She held it to her chest, feeling the residual energy. She had been this close. The forger was real, and he was human. She smiled. "I'm going to find you." She pocketed the glove. Ren stumbled into the safe house, breathing hard. Ginny took one look at him and grabbed his shoulders. "You were almost caught, I know. Lena was there. She's getting closer." Ginny's face darkened. "We need to change protocols. No more regular locations. Random drops only." Ren nodded. The game was changing. They had to change with it. Commander Yu Hansel sat by his daughter's bedside in the Bureau medical wing. Sarah was sleeping peacefully. Her colour healthy, her breathing steady. A week ago she had been at death's door. Now she was healed. Yu's hands trembled as he held hers. He did not know who the forger was, but he owed him everything. Sarah woke and smiled at her father. She told him everything, the masked stranger at her window, the golden light, the feeling of being remade from the inside out. "He saved me," she whispered. Yu's jaw tightened. He would find this forger, not to arrest him, to thank him, and to offer his service. Yu found Ren at the convenience store. He sat at the counter, ordered coffee, and studied the young man with tired eyes. Ren avoided eye contact. Yu spoke about the forger, how he had saved someone precious to him. "If you ever meet the forger, tell him he has a friend in the bureau." Ren said nothing. His heart pounded. After Yu left, Ren leaned against the counter, exhaling slowly. Grandma Hannah appeared beside him. "That man knows more than he's letting on." Ren nodded. "They're all getting closer. The net is tightening." Hannah placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then you'd better move faster than them." Ren looked at his palm. The mark glowed faintly. "Time to work." Wei Yuna Pillar 2, the mirror stood before the remaining 7 pillars in their dark chamber. She was tall, androgynous, her skin shimmering like liquid mercury. She had heard of the forger, a skilled manipulator. The ability to create superhumans at will. She smiled. She wanted that power, not to destroy it, to copy it. The mirror demonstrated her ability before the pillars. A captured rank criminal was brought in. She studied him for 3 seconds. Then she raised her hand and replicated his skill perfectly. The same energy signature, the same effect. The pillars watched in silence. If she could copy the forge, she would be unstoppable. The mirror requested permission to hunt the forger. The sovereign granted it. She left the chamber and stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Her reflective skin caught the moonlight. She whispered to herself, "I will find you, forger. I will copy everything you are, and then I will become the only one who matters." News reached Ginny through her underworld contacts. "A pillar is moving the mirror. She's hunting you specifically." Ren received the information in silence. Another threat, another target on his back, but this one could copy his power. That was terrifying. He looked at Ashen sleeping in the corner. He would not let anyone take this power, not while he still breathed. The new client was a young man named Min Jun. He had a D-rank combat skill that was barely enough to qualify for low-tier hunter work. He wanted more. Ren hesitated. The request was simple, but something about the client's eyes made him uneasy. Jinny had vetted him, though. Ren proceeded. He touched Min Jun's hand, and the forge was a mutation. Min Jun's skill transformed into something aggressive. Blade Rush, a rank, a combat skill that enhanced his speed and generated razor-sharp energy blades from his arms. Min Jun's eyes widened with manic glee. Ren felt a chill, that look, he had seen it before. The look of someone who had just been given a weapon. 3 days later the news broke. A robbery at a high-end jewelry store. 3 guards injured. The perpetrator was caught on camera. Energy blades extending from his forearms. Min Jun. Ren stared at the screen in horror. Jinny stood beside him, pale. "We created a monster," Ren whispered. "No, I created a monster." Ren sat alone that night, the weight of his choice crushing him. He had given power to someone unworthy. He had not vetted deeply enough. Ashen climbed onto his lap and pressed her head against his chest. Ren stared at the ceiling. He had to fix this. He had to find Min Jun, and he had to take back what he had given. Ren tracked Min Jun to an abandoned subway station. He went alone, despite Jinny's protests. Ashen followed, slipping through shadows. They found Min Jun in a makeshift camp, energy blades flickering around his arms. He was high on his new power when he saw the white mask. He grinned. "Come to take it back, Forger. Try." Min Jun attacked wildly. His blades were fast, dangerous. Ren dodged, relying on his forged reflexes. Ashen phased through a blade and scratched Min Jun's face, but Min Jun was stronger, faster. He pinned Ren against a pillar, blade at his throat. "You made me powerful. Now you're afraid of what you created. Pathetic." Ren focused. He had never used severance on a person before, only on the Reaper's anchor. But he knew the technique. He grabbed Min Jun's arm, the one touching his throat. Golden light flared. The severance tore through Min Jun's skill, unraveling it strand by strand. Min Jun screamed as Blade Rush disintegrated into golden motes. Min Jun collapsed, his skill gone, tears streaming down his face. Ren stood over him, breathing hard. Grey hair now streaked through his temples. He had undone his work. He had taken responsibility, but the cost was etched into his face. He looked at his trembling hands. How many more times would he have to do this before the end? A man appeared at Jinny's safe house. He was gaunt, in his 50s, with a persistent cough and wire-rimmed glasses. He knocked once. Jinny opened the door. Her face went white. "Hello, Suha," he said. "It's been a long time." Her hands began to shake. His name was Mr. Choi. He was Jinny's old handler from the streets, the man who had bought her from her parents and run her pickpocketing ring. He knew her real name, he knew her history, and he knew she was working with the forger. "The underground talks," he said. "You've been busy, but I'm not here to congratulate you." Choi had a buyer for the forger's identity, Kale Dracos. He wanted Jinny to deliver Ren his name, his face, his location. In exchange, Choi would erase her debt and disappear. Jinny stared at him. Her past had come back to collect. She had 48 hours to decide. Jinny sat on her rooftop that night, staring at the city lights. A silver coin flipped between her fingers. Betray Ren and be free, or protect him and be hunted forever. She looked at the scar on her palm from the forge. Ren had given her a second chance. He trusted her. She made her choice. Jinny started pulling away. She showed up late to meets. She avoided Ren's eyes. She made excuses. Ren noticed. He asked if she was okay. She snapped at him. "I'm fine. Stop asking." Ren backed off, but he knew something was wrong. He just didn't know what. Ren cornered her in the safe house. "Jinny, talk to me. Whatever it is, we can handle it together." Jinny's walls cracked for a second. Then she hardened again. "You can't handle this one, Ren. This one's mine." She walked out. Ren watched her go, helpless. Lena's investigation advanced. She interviewed a witness who had seen the forger's face during a brief moment. just the lower half young, maybe early 20s, Korean. She narrowed down the search. Outer ring, convenience stores, warehouses, cheap apartments. She was getting closer to Ren without knowing it. Multiple threats converge. The mirror hunting, Kale plotting, Ginny withdrawing, Lena closing in. Ren sat in his apartment, head in his hands, ashen pressed against his leg. He felt the walls closing in. He was the forger. He had created superhumans. But he had never felt more powerless. Kale set his trap. He spread word of a high-value client, a dying heir with a SSS rank inheritance skill on the verge of collapse. The kind of client Ren could not resist. Ginny's vetting came back clean because Kale had fabricated the entire background. Ren took the bait. Ren arrived at the meeting location alone, a penthouse in the central district. The client was supposed to be there. But the room was empty. He sensed the trap a second too late. The doors locked. Gas filled the room. Ren's vision blurred. Ashen screeched. Then darkness. Ren woke in a luxurious bedroom. Silk sheets. Soft lighting. His wrists were bound with silver restraints, anti-skill cuffs. A figure sat in an armchair across the room, swirling a glass of whiskey. Kale Dracos smiled. "Good evening, forger." Or should I say Ren Kaito? Ren's blood ran cold. Kale approached the bed, studying Ren like a curious collector examining a rare artifact. "I've been watching you for months. Your network, your clients, your little cat. I know everything." Ren pulled against the cuffs. Useless, Kale sat on the edge of the bed. "Let's talk about your future. You're going to work for me now." Kale laid out his terms. Ren would forge for him exclusively. He would live in this penthouse, safe and comfortable. In exchange, Kale would protect everyone. Ren cared about Lena, Ginny, Sarah, Hannah. Ren laughed bitterly. "You mean you'll threaten them if I refuse?" Kale's smile widened. "I prefer the term incentivize." Kale showed Ren photographs. Lena walking to class. Sarah in the hospital garden, Ginny on her rooftop, Grandma Hannah behind her counter. "I can reach any of them within an hour," Kale said. Ren's hands clenched into fists. He wanted to kill Kale, but he was helpless. He had no combat skill. He was just a boy in a mask. Ren pretended to agree. He needed time. He needed to find a way out. Kale was not fooled. He knew Ren was stalling. But he allowed it. He enjoyed the game. "The cat and the mouse. I'll prepare your first forge tomorrow," Kale said. "A special client. Do try to make it impressive." He left Ren alone in the room. Ren examined the restraints, the room, the windows. 38th floor, anti-skill cuffs, guards at every door. Ashen was nowhere to be seen. She must have escaped the gas. Good. She could bring help. But would she arrive in time? Ren tested the cuffs. They glowed. He was trapped. He had to think. Kale's client arrived the next morning. A massive man named Gorath, an underworld enforcer with a B-rank skill. Kale wanted him upgraded to S rank. Ren was brought to the forge room, wrists still cuffed. The restraints were removed one at a time, strictly monitored. Gorath sneered at the thin boy before him. Ren touched Gorath's arm. The forge energy rose, but instead of channeling upgrade, Ren focused on something else. Destruction! He had done it before. He could do it again. He pushed the golden energy in the opposite direction, unmaking instead of creating. Gorath grunted. Something was wrong. Golden light exploded. Gorath's skill, stone, hide B rank, shattered like glass. The energy dispersed. Gorath collapsed, his body limp, his power gone. Kale's eyes went wide. "What did you do?" Ren stepped back, breathing hard. "I destroyed it." "That's what you get for forcing a forge. The result is always random." The room went silent. Kale's composure cracked for the first time. His face twisted with rage. He grabbed Ren by the throat and slammed him against the wall. "You think this is a game? I can make your life a living hell." Ren choked but smiled. "You need me alive. That's your weakness." Kale released him slowly. His smile returned. "Fine, we'll do this differently." Kale brought Ren back to his private study. He needed to regain control. He poured himself a drink, back turned. Ren saw his chance. The restraints were off. Kale was distracted. He moved silently, picked up a heavy paperweight, and struck Kale across the back of the head. Kale crumpled. Ren stood over Kale's unconscious body. He could run, but that would not solve anything. Kale would wake up and come after him again. Ren looked at his palm. The gear and scale mark glowed. He touched Kale's hand. "If I destroy your skill, your contracts dissolve. Your power over people ends." He concentrated. Destruction energy surged. Kale's debt bind A rank unraveled in golden threads. The skill that had enslaved hundreds dissolved into nothing. Across the city, people felt something snap. Invisible chains breaking. Kale's eyes fluttered open. He looked at his hands. He knew immediately what had happened. His skill, his empire, gone. He stared at Ren in disbelief. Ren expected rage. Instead, Kale smiled, a terrible, empty smile. "Now I have nothing to lose," he said softly. "That makes me very dangerous." Ren stepped back. Kale sat up, rubbing his head. "You took everything from me, my power, my contracts, my identity. All I have left is your face, and I will remember it forever." Ren fled. Ren stumbled through the streets, disoriented, exhausted. He had escaped. He had taken down Kale, but Kale knew his face. The secret was no longer safe. He found a dark alley and collapsed against the wall, sliding down to sit on the wet ground. Ashen appeared from the shadows, rubbing against his leg. She had followed him. Ginny found him hours later. She had tracked Ashen's signal. She knelt beside him, checking for injuries. He told her everything. Kale, the forge, the destruction, and the fact that Kale knows my face. Ginny went pale. She grabbed his shoulders. "I have something to tell you too," she confessed, about Mr. Choi, and her choice. Ginny told him she had refused Choi. She had chosen Ren, but that meant Choi would sell her out to Kale anyway. Ren listened in silence. Then he pulled her into a hug. "You stayed. That's all that matters. We'll face them together." Ginny's eyes welled up. She had not been hugged in years. She let herself cry. Lena sat in her dorm, holding the black glove she had found. She had analyzed it for residues. Nothing, but she kept it. It was proof that the forger existed, that he was close. She pressed the glove to her face, inhaling. Something about it felt familiar, like a scent she had encountered before. She could not place it, but it lingered. The mirror found Ren's trail through a client who had been forged 2 weeks ago. She tracked the residual energy to a warehouse in the industrial district. She arrived at midnight, her reflective skin blending with the shadows. She could feel him. He was close. Ren was mid-forge when the wall exploded inward. A figure stepped through the dust, shimmering, silver, impossible, the mirror. She raised her hand and copied Lena's ice power, launching a wave of absolute zero at Ren. He dove behind a pillar. Ice covered everything. Ashen yowled. The mirror smiled. "So this is the forger. Disappointing." Ren fought back with everything he had. Forged reflexes, a smoke grenade Ginny had given him, Ashen's shadow attacks. But the mirror copied each skill as it appeared. She was untouchable. He barely escaped. A deep gash across his arm, blood soaking his sleeve. The mirror watched him flee. She did not pursue. She had what she needed, a sample of his energy signature. The team gathered at the safe house. Ren's arm was bandaged, his face pale. Lena's power was compromised. The mirror could now copy it. Yu reviewed tactical options. Ginny scanned for safe locations. Ren stared at the map. The mirror had his signature. She could track him now. Every forge would be a beacon. He had to stop forging, but the clients kept coming. Ren stood before a cracked mirror in the safe house bathroom. He barely recognized himself. His hair was more grey than black now. Deep lines etched his forehead. The burn scar on his cheek had darkened. He was 19. He looked 40. He touched his reflection. The man in the mirror stared back, tired and ancient. Sarah came to the safe house to treat Ren's wounds. As her healing energy flowed through him, she paused. Her eyes widened. "Ren, your life force is thin, depleted, like someone who has lived decades longer than you have." Ren pulled his arm away. "I know," Sarah's voice trembled. "How many years have you given?" Ren did not answer. Sarah sat beside Ren on the worn couch. She did not push, she waited. Finally, Ren spoke. "Every forge costs me. A day, a week, a month, sometimes years, I've lost count." Sarah took his hand. "I can heal wounds, I can cure diseases, but I cannot restore spent life." Ren looked at her. "I know, I've always known." Sarah began to cry, silently. "You saved my life, Ren, and you're dying to save others. How is that fair?" Ren squeezed her hand. "It's not fair, but it's my choice. Every person I forge is someone who can make a difference. Lena protects people. You heal them. Ginny finds the truth. If my life buys theirs, then it's worth it." Sarah could not argue. Commander Yu arrived at the safe house. He looked at Ren, really looked at him. Then he spoke the words Ren had been dreading. "I know you're the forger." Ren tensed. Yu held up a hand. "I'm not here to arrest you. I'm here to thank you for my daughter." He extended his hand. "You have an ally in the Bureau for as long as I draw breath." Yu brought resources, our Bureau safe houses, encrypted communication channels, forged documents for new identities. He also brought intel. The pillars were mobilizing. The mirror had reported Ren's general location. Kale had gone underground, but was selling information about Ren. The net was tightening, but now they had a government insider. Mr. Kang arrived, accompanied by 3 other forged individuals, people Ren had saved. They came to fight. Lena stood beside them, her ice power crackling. Ginny was on the comms, coordinating. Sarah prepared medical supplies. Ashen sat at Ren's feet. Ren looked at his army. It was small, but it was fierce. It was his. They planned their next move. The mirror was the immediate threat. She had Ren's energy signature and could track him. They needed to sever her connection or eliminate her. Ren studied the pillar files Yu had provided. The mirror's power had one weakness. She could only copy skills she had seen. They needed to hit her with something she had never encountered. Ren set the trap. He announced a forge, a high-power client that would draw the mirror in. The location was a decommissioned power plant chosen for its chaotic energy fields that might disrupt her copying ability. Ginny planted false leads. Yu positioned Bureau snipers. Lena waited in ambush. Ashen shadowed the perimeter. The stage was set. The mirror arrived exactly as predicted. She walked through the power plant doors, unhurried, confident. Her reflective skin shimmered in the dim light. She sensed the trap immediately. She smiled. "Clever, but I did not come alone." She raised her hand. Outside, pillar enforcers surrounded the building. The battle erupted. Lena engaged the mirror directly, ice versus ice. Yu coordinated from the perimeter, directing sniper fire. Ginny hacked the building's systems, causing chaos. Mr. Kang and the forged allies held off the enforcers. Ren moved through the chaos, searching for an opening. Ashen provided cover, phasing through attacks. Ren found his moment. The mirror was distracted by Lena. He moved behind her, gear and scale mark blazing. He touched her shoulder and activated severance, but instead of destroying her skill, he mutated it. The mirror's copying ability warped, twisting into something unrecognizable. She screamed as her power shifted beyond her control. They had not killed her, but they had stopped her. The pillar enforcers retreated, their leader compromised. The mirror stumbled away, her power unstable, flickering. She looked at Ren with something between hatred and respect. "This is not over, Forger. I will find a way to restore my power, and when I do, I will end everyone you love." She vanished into the night. Ren collapsed the moment she was gone. The severance mutation had cost him more than he expected. He looked at his hands. They were trembling, aged, thin. Sarah rushed to his side, healing energy flowing, but she could feel it. He had lost years in that single touch. Ren looked at his reflection in a broken window. His hair was almost fully white now. The team gathered at the safe house, exhausted, wounded, but alive. Lena sat beside Ren, ice crystals still forming in her breath. "You're dying," she said quietly. "I know. Every time I use the power, I lose more of myself." Lena was silent for a long time. Then she took his hand. "Then we make every day count." Ren stood at the window, looking out at the city. Dawn was breaking. Ashen sat on the windowsill beside him. Lena stood at his shoulder. Ginny was on the phone, planning their next move. Sarah was bandaging Mr. Kang's arm. Yu was reviewing intel. Ren felt the weight of his choices, his debt, his body, his life, but he also felt something else, hope. He looked at the rising sun. One day this war would end, but not today. He put on his mask. Today they fought.